If you're not calling out sin, there is something wrong with you. You need to start calling out sin because that's what Christ called us to do.
Yo, it's Digital Diego, and I had an awesome experience on the podcast. I'm so grateful I was able to share how good God is and a little bit of my story. If you're looking for truth and real life godly discussions, you gotta tune in.
My experience on Preach's podcast was real, raw, and powerful because they talked about things most people don't have the courage to talk about. This podcast gave me space to share my testimony and glorify God.
If it wasn't for Preach, I wouldn't have a new view on a lot of things. If you die today, what's going to happen? And it's a beautiful thing, the fact that he would actually, open up my mind a lot more. So it's just so beautiful.
Okay, so for the past couple of days, I think it was probably Saturday, Sunday, we have been seeing ICE agents taking people to and from, whatever kind of place they are in, right? And a lot of people don't like what they're doing. But I would say this. Here's my take on it. Well, I don't like how it's done. I do believe it need to be done. Now, how we should go by doing that? Should we take another approach? I do believe so, because just picking people out of the street randomly, right? Because they look Mexican or things like that, it's dangerous. It can lead to other things. But now we have a journalist. Well, I used to be journalist. Now he just do like his own journalism. He have his own little thing he got going on, his own little gig. Don Lemon, everybody know him from CNN, right? And what happened was he stormed in a Baptist church, and in the Baptist church, they had a whole bunch of protesters following Don Lemon, or Don Lemon were following them. And a lot of people is getting outraged because of this. Like, oh my goodness, he stormed into a Baptist church, whatever the case might be. I have a couple takes on this, right? Number one reason, I do believe place of worship should be sacred, right? Especially a Christian place of worship. And you already know that I don't have respect for other religions, because that means I'm having respect for your false gods. And I don't have any respect for any false gods, because in my Bible, it said, I am the Lord your God. You should have no other God before me. Every other God that you have before me or you worship are called idols or false gods. So that's why I do not respect other people's religion or their gods. I respect the human, but not their religion. Secondly, I don't believe this would even happen if the church, just going back to what I've been talking about for a long time, if the church was actually powerful. Imagine if the church that Don Lemon went to, right, was the church that was in Paul's era or in Peter's era. He would got knocked down in the Holy Spirit. The protester would got knocked down in the Holy Spirit. They wouldn't have been able to disrupt the service that God was trying to have. They wouldn't have been able to stop the message that God was trying to preach and teach to his people. They wouldn't be able to do that. But nevertheless, they done it. They did it in this church, in this Baptist church. Why? What's going on? The power is slipping. The power is gone. There is no power in the modern church today. Most churches do not have that power that they should actually have. It's gone. I'm going to show you a couple of videos. There's a lot of different videos, a lot of different things, so stand by. But nevertheless, when I saw this, I didn't even think about, oh my goodness, Don Lemon went inside a church, a Baptist church, and disrupted and this and that and this. I'm saying, why did he disrupt it? Now, people, a lot of people on social media are saying like, if this was a black church, he wouldn't even made it past the front door, but he had to do it to a white church, and he starts talking about, oh, I'm a Christian. Would Jesus do this? Would Jesus do that? Would Jesus do this? If you're a Christian, why you for this or why you for this? Why you for this? Okay, I'll do you one better. Jesus also knew some things that we're not supposed to do. Like Christians, we're not supposed to pay taxes. Spoiler alert. But we do to keep the peace. There are some things that we do to keep the peace, despite if we don't have to do it, or despite if we agree or disagree with it. Yes, I do believe that we should welcome people. I believe that we should vet them. We should make sure they have good intentions. We should make sure that they're not drug dealers. We should make sure they're not waitresses. We should make sure a lot of these things, so none of these things will happen. That's what I believe. And I know that it's cost a lot of money to even become a citizen. That's why a lot of people just boom and run through the border to start a new life because their past life was miserable, was terrible. And I get that. I really do. But I also believe that even though I believe they should be here, some of them, the ones that have good intentions, but our laws, if they say they have to be gone, they got to be gone. I agree or disagree. But nevertheless, my job as a Christian is to keep the peace. The best way possible. If I can keep the peace, boom. Like in a fight, if I can step out of that fight without even confronting the guy or make the fight worse than it actually is, I should do that. I shouldn't um literally toss gasoline on the fire to make it worse. So when I saw this, I wasn't even mad. I was mad at the church. Now, Don Lemons was saying, I'm a Christian. You're not. You're not. Don Lemon, you're not a Christian at all. Number one, you live in a marriage that God do not support. Number two, you happily and proud of what you're doing and living in your sin. You're not sorrowful of your sin. And I know a lot probably happened in your childhood that brought you to this world, and I'm not saying that it didn't. But now you know. Saying you're Christian, but you seem like you're cherry picking the Bible to fit your narrative. You're cherry picking the Bible so it can go along with your agenda. And I'm not for that. You're living in sin. Homosexuality is a sin. You lied, boom, another sin. The Bible said all liars have their part in the lake of fire. Since you say you're a Christian and you're lying, you becoming a liar, bro. A liar. So would Jesus be loving? Would Jesus be trying to welcome people? Doesn't that? Uh-huh. So now you want to talk about what would Jesus do? Let's talk about what would Jesus do. He'd be whipping all these sinners out of the church. Paul actually even said, like, if somebody disrupting or not even, because the church is also for believers to grow. But if somebody is disrupting, kick that person back to Satan. Not my words. This is the Bible. Kick that person back to Satan. It's better them to go back to where they was in than disturbing the church and being a bad apple to the whole bunch, so all the rest of the apples to be or get murdered in another sense, which is really mean. If one bad sheep or one bad person that acting like a sheep, that person can destroy the whole congregation. And we don't want that. So Paul said it's better for you to kick that person out of the church And for him to go back to what he was doing, and then him finally realizing, oh my goodness, I have done wrong. Hmm? I am not mad at Don Lemon. I'm mad at the church because the church is not powerful as it should be. And I've been saying this countless of times that the church have gone soft, weak, very weak. And now when you see the video, right? He was talking to the pastor, and he was all in his face, like, oh, like literally in his face, and he's like, oh, don't push me. I'm trying to be respectful, but don't push me. Like, bro, you in my face, man. Like, how in the world that you don't want me? Like, there's a certain way where you, as a reporter, you're supposed to talk, you're supposed to give the person their space. But if you just literally crowding them out, invading their personal space, what you expect me to do? Like, I don't want to, like, bro, get off. Like, bro, stop this. And Nicki Minaj, she sounded off with this. Like I said, I'm praying for Nicki. I really do hope and praying that she actually get truly saved. You know, turn a whole new leaf. I mean, like destroying her music and everything. But she responded to Don Lemon, said a lot of things that I'm not going to be saying it on this program. Um, more the gist of the whole tweet was he saying Don Lemon was wrong. Somebody should kick him out. Blah blah blah. She called him different names. Don Lemon responded saying, "Oh, nobody should buy your music. You're a narcissist. All this different type of stuff." I'm like, "Bro, hold up. Where was this like a couple years ago? Like when you guys were for her, right? When you guys were actually for Nikki, where was all this, agitated and all this stuff like, oh, you're really a bad person, and you say, oh, in Trump administration, you should actually get deported because it's been reported that you're actually not a U.S. citizen, right? That's what it said. That's what he said. And he said like some of our family members are rapists and pedophiles. How much of that to be true, I do not know. But nevertheless, that's what he said. So this go to shows like church, we are losing the power. We can almost say that we lost the power, but I have saw a couple of church leaders that actually have what they have. They're actually preaching and teaching the truth as they should. But if the church had its power that it actually is supposed to have, right? If the church actually had the power that it's supposed to have, we would not be in this situation. You wouldn't have people storming the doors. Because people would fear the church, not because the church like, I'm a good people, but they knew that God, and they would know that God is real. And they know like, despite me believing in this religion, or despite me believing in Jesus or God, or whatever the case might be, I might be an atheist, I might be this, I might be that. Despite me believing whatever they are believing in, right? I don't want no smoke with them. I don't want to fool with them because I know whatever they got is real. But nowadays, people just going to church as a ritual. They're going to church as a tradition, not as something as, oh my goodness, I'm trying to learn more about God. I'm trying to learn more about Jesus. And there's some people that actually are doing it for those reasons, right? There's some people that are doing it for those reasons. But some people are just doing it to feel good. Like, I'm going to church tomorrow. I went to church tomorrow. Now let me just sin for the rest of the week. What's the use? If you go into church for a tradition, get out of church. Leave it. Do what you want to do. If it's not helping you, do whatever you want to do. We don't have time for this. Pastors, this should be a wake-up call for you guys. Get back to the old ways. Stop trying to metal down and water down the message. If you are not called to be a pastor, get out of the pulpit. If you are called to be a pastor, Start doing what God told you to do. Now, I want you guys to see these couple videos of Don Lemon going into church, talking to the pastors, and people, those were activists. He was recording it. I guess he was proud of it, whatever the case might be. He was like, "Oh, um, just let you know that you guys are not real Christian. You got these suits, you got these different things, whatever the case might be, right?" And he's like, "What about all Muslim friends, and what about all Latinos that is actually out there that need some of these good items, right?" And I'm like, why did you have to say Muslim friends? What about our Jewish friends that you've been persecuting forever? Every single thing, every single day, the left is always persecuting the Jews like they are the number one bad guys. But if you're anti-Jew, you're a hero. If you're pro-Islam, you are a hero. But if you're pro-Israel, you're a villain. So take a look at these videos. These videos, for me, I was sick of it. Take a look at this.
Into Minneapolis a little bit ago and did some reconnaissance on the ground. I'm speaking to an organization there that's gearing up for resistance and protest. I've been pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together. Diverse community. If you see this, when we first pulled up, we're like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we're like, well, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? So the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up. And it's Sakima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account. And so that's what we're doing here. And then after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, can't tell you where they're going.
This is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will...
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution and the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
One is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. Yeah. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much.
As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus would dine with enemies. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame. Out now. Out now. Living real comfortable while the people starve. Living real comfortable while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're all living real comfortable, aren't you? Shame on you. Do something. Stand with the Somalis. Stand with the Latinos. Quit ignoring this injustice. He wears a suit and tie and he hangs out with Kristi Noem. How is that a Christian? You're supposed to accept all immigrants, are you not? Why are you not going down to Whipple and joining us in protest against this inhumanity? You claim to be a Christian, act like one.